Welcome to another episode of Everyday Strong with Dr. Michael G. Daniels. This is your host, C.B. Baker. I come to you with, it seems like Dr. Daniels, the world's coming to an end, it seems like. Well, it's just a lot of weird times going on now. And we've been off podcasting for a while. And I do, this part is on me. I do apologize. I had a procedure done and the recovery, Dr. Daniels, did not go as planned. But after going to a couple of church services here recently, I have realized that it was planned for me to go through, because during those 2 weeks that I was down and out, I had a lot of revelations that made me sit and think about where I was going in life and what I was supposed to be doing. Right. You know, the gifts that God gave me and how I'm supposed to be using them. And this is one of the things that I'm supposed to be doing, which is talking with you and bringing people closer to God. So
if that's the case, all the pain was well worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're looking wonderful. I'll say this. You're looking great.
Thank you. Now, I cannot remember the young lady's name. I went to a conference and I was sitting randomly at a table, and the lady said, "You go to Enoch?" I said, "Yeah, I know that. I knew that you're on the podcast, aren't you?" Mm-hmm. And I cannot think of her name, but I know she's watching it because she was asking about when we're coming back and everything. So if you're watching it, big shout out to you. It was nice meeting you at the conference. Now, let's talk about the huge elephant in the room, which is two of them, actually. We got the elections that's coming up and the candidates. And we also have the coronavirus that's also happening around the same time.
Yes.
And what's odd about this, in a random conversation that me and you was having, you was saying that how some of the events that's taking place reminds you a little bit of the end of days that's in Revelations. And I wanted to touch bases on that a little bit later on in the conversation to see if you still feel that way. Because I mean, this is for the time that we've had now. Like, we know we've had issues before mass media with viruses, the Spanish flu and things like that, where it spread across the world.
H1N1.
Right. So we've had this happen before. So, but I think a lot of this is really catching people off guard of how fast it happened and then what's happening to us.
Right, the severity of what happens when you catch it.
Right.
You know, his just to throw this out, you know, if you think about Exodus, for example, and I'm going to go back a little bit. If you go back to Exodus, when the government was a government that was ruled by a person that had, he was a tyrant, basically.
Right.
Pharaoh was a tyrant, right? And so God said, I hear my people's cry. And the way that I'm going to deliver them from Pharaoh, because he's not going to want to let you go, but the way I'm going to deliver them from Pharaoh is I'm going to bring some plagues, right? Now, the irony is this: he brought plagues upon Egypt, but the people that he was delivering from Egypt, they had to go through the plagues as well.
Yeah.
So they had to deal with the plagues, even though the plagues were meant for their good. And in the end, it caused them to be delivered. You know, when God brought lice, the lice didn't just stay in the rich neighborhood.
Right.
The lice came to where the Israelites were as well. When the Nile was turned red blood, and so therefore you couldn't have clean water, it didn't just affect the Egyptians, it affected the Israelites as well.
Right.
Well, you know, there's a lot of similarities that we have today. You know, we have a leader that is somewhat of a tyrant. He wants to be a king, you know.
Yeah.
So, well, what if God said, you know what? I need another plague. Because if you think about the ripple effect of this, the ripple effect of this seems to be, again, the stock market is down. People's confidence in him is going down.
Right.
And so there might be an opening for a new president in November 2020.
Yes, I do totally agree with that. You know, and you know, sometimes in order to get better, you got to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always one thing that you taught me especially when you get closer to God, it's not like you're going to just walk through a hallway or a path that's cut through, there's already cut path and you able to just walk through there just as clean and easy. Oh no, it's rocky. There's thorn bushes through there. It's like you got to work to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's what's crazy. The road to the devil is just as wide. And there's nothing in front of you. It's weird. It's like you can go do negative things really easy, but it's hard to wake up every day and to be positive about your output on life, positive towards people. You got to work at it.
Yeah, and I think a part of it is because of our own perceptions and our own expectations. When you're not close to God, you don't expect to get blessings.
Yeah.
So if you don't get them, it's no big deal. I wasn't expecting God to bless me, no way.
Yeah.
But once you get saved, your expectations seem to be, okay, it's going to be easy now because I'm saved.
Right.
But Jesus said that if they persecute me, they're going to persecute you too.
Yes.
So, I think a part of it is our expectations don't really marry up to what the Bible says we ought to be thinking about. To me, the big difference is not whether or not I go through, but how I go through. Like you take, the coronavirus, for example. I mean, Lord knows I'm praying because I certainly don't want anybody to go through any difficult times because of it. And I certainly don't want to, experience the virus personally myself. But the thing is this, it is causing economic despair, right? Because things are shutting down. People are without, their normal avenue to get revenue in their pockets. And schools have been closed. So if a lot of parents have to make a choice, do I stay home, or do I pay someone else to stay there with my child?
Right.
So either way, it's costing them one way or another. The thing, I look at it like this, when I had not God in my life and I had to go through this, it was much more difficult for me to get through it. When I have God in my life, he always makes a way for me to go through it.
Right.
So I may go through because, like Jesus said, it rains on the just as well as the unjust, right? So we both may be going through, but as a just individual, meaning one that's saved and has God in their life, my outcome will be different than the unjust person's outcome. And my road, while it may be difficult, I'll be able to make it through, and I'll be able to prosper while I'm making it through.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the beauty of being saved. But I do feel for those who are going through, and we're going to be praying for them because it's a difficult time.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head this past Sunday when you said when you're saved, you you're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you get to that point when you're taken care of, all that weight just releases off of you.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, he got me.
Mm-hmm.
So stop trying to force things and just kind of just let it flow. Another thing I want to touch on is, Dr. Daniels, I believe this whole situation was somewhat meant to happen to bring families back closer together.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Because now people finding out, right about now, did you marry for lust or did you marry your partner that's supposed to be helping you out?
Mm-hmm.
This is what you finding out right now. If you marry for the right reasons, your household is straight.
Right.
You got a partnership. You're working as a team. Your kids are at home, and you're like, okay, what we're going to do? We got to homeschool the kids now.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to do? It's like almost knocked us back into 1950, but the mindset of people is not 1950. Your wife is not going to sit at home all day dealing with the kids, cooking, cleaning, and doing laundry. So, okay, man, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be able to take off work if you're not laid off because of everything and be able to come home and help out and work as a team? It's like but it's making everybody get back closer together, checking on one another. Hey, are you okay? Picking up the phone. Hey, are y'all okay?
Right.
Instead of just going through life blindly and on autopilot.
Oh yeah, most definitely. If nothing else, if I am quarantined, whether it's self-quarantine or because There's nothing outside for me to do,
Right,
restaurant closed, bowling alley closed, that kind of thing. It forces us to get back to doing something that we have stopped doing,
right.
and which is communicating,
Yeah,
having meals together where everybody's sitting at the table together and talking and even spending more quality time with, like you say, with your children, with your family. Because when you have outside outlets, we tend to spend more time planning for the outside than enjoying the inside.
Yeah.
So you're right. It certainly is a great opportunity for people to kind of refocus, and get back in lockstep with family life, and start back enjoying one another. But like you say, if you married somebody for the wrong reason, being stuck for 14 days is not a happy thing.
No, it's not.
But it's an opportunity to learn who you're with, though, so you can turn it around and make it a happy thing.
Yeah. And, sometimes too, a crisis, quote unquote, will bring people together. Like, you don't have time to be dealing with petty stuff and getting mad over little things or creating reasons to be mad, because now you got real stuff that you got to take care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You really, like you said, and Martin Luther King, and I'm not going to say it exactly like he said it, but Martin Luther King said it this way. He said that tragedy builds character. You don't know who you are till you go through something.
Right.
Right. And likewise, you don't know who you are as a team until you go through something. So, when spouses face adversity together, it gives you an opportunity to see who you really are. But also, when you face it together, it makes the problem half of what it was if you were going through it by yourself. And in a sense, it can lead to quite a bit of joy, once you get on the other side.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the elections. You got Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Now, I like Bernie. I like what he says, but sometimes I think it's not based in reality.
85% of the time, it's not based in reality, in my opinion.
Now, if Bernie Sanders stuff is not based in reality, also, I just don't feel like he could beat a Donald Trump. Even if what he was saying he could pull off, I don't think he could beat Donald Trump, even on Donald Trump's worst day.
You're right. I don't think he could either. There's an interesting thing that I noticed. I was watching a documentary on Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton said no one in the Senate liked Bernie Sanders. She said Bernie has done nothing in the Senate except stir up trouble. And I don't know personally because I wasn't there,
right? But
she was there, and that's what she said. When I listen to him talk, that's the impression I get. That seems to be his role, to stir stuff up. But in order to get stuff done, you need consensus. I don't care how great your idea is, you need consensus. And that's my fear about him. Even if he were to win, who in the world would vote for some of the stuff that he proposes? Right. You think about, he wants Medicare for all, for example. See, I don't think everyone wants Medicare for all. He seemed to think that way. But everybody doesn't want Medicare for all. I don't want Medicare for all. Right. I want an option.
Right.
I like my current insurance. I retired from the federal government. I have what I consider to be wonderful insurance.
Right.
So to me, you ought to, is those kind of things that he is presuming that people want. That's not necessarily so. I'm not a socialist. I'm just not a socialist by nature. I believe in capitalism. I don't believe in people taking advantage of people, but I believe in capitalism.
Right.
And Bernie seems to have a platform that there's something wrong with being rich.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not rich by a long stretch of the imagination, But I don't see anything wrong with people being rich.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Now, what I have a problem with, and this is me personally, if a guy can spend $500 million, knowing he had to know that there was no chance of him being president, but you got so much money, you can spend $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not one to tell somebody to do with their money.
Right.
But I can think of a million things that money could have went to that would have benefited society way more than you basically just flushing it down the toilet.
I agree wholeheartedly. But it's his money.
It's his money, right.
If he wanted to go outside and have a bonfire, it's his money. And I think, and that's the only thing, that's why I think Bernie, as you said, is unelectable as a president. Because his ideological stance is a dream kind of thing.
Yeah.
For example, Bernie says free tuition at all state schools, free tuition. Now, it's a wonderful idea. Who is going to pay for it?
Right.
I look at my current tax bracket and I can tell you, I am not happy with the amount of money I pay in taxes.
Right.
Under Bernie's plan, I'm going to probably pay about 5% more in taxes.
Yeah.
Because somebody got to pay for those schools.
Right.
And so there are those kind of socialist ideas that bother me. Do I think he is a better person than Trump? Yeah. But his ideas, kind of bother me from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
I think the stock market would plummet if Bernie became president.
Bernie Sanders is the type person I think you need in the room to bring up an idea that sparks a conversation.
Yes, sure. Mm-hmm.
But it won't be his idea that actually gets done. It's, okay, that's a good idea, Bernie. Let's flesh that out and see if we could come up with something that's actually that we could do. It's like, okay, I'm gonna come up with this big audacious goal, and it's okay. Let's see if we can meet this or come close to getting there.
Yeah,
how close can we get to this?
Bernie is good for a negotiating strategy.
Yeah,
he's the extreme,
right?
And so if you throw his stuff on the table, you're more likely to end up somewhere in the middle.
There you go.
If you throw the middle idea on the table, you've already lost.
Right. And someone of the pundits was saying that a lot of with America, because Bernie Sanders is like the opposite of Trump, like on what they do, and people are just tired of that. Like let's get back to somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And I agree. It's like Trump says some outlandish things too. Sometimes some of it I just sit back and just laugh at. It's like, it's okay. Let's build a wall. And we're going to have so many billions of dollars. And like, this wall is not going to stop Mexicans from coming here. It's like, honestly, you can't stop anybody from coming here if they really want to get here. If you truly want to get here, you're going to get here. So that's, it's just, it is what it is. Now let's talk about Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. Now, my issues with Joe Biden is really his age, if it was anything that I had issues with. Mm-hmm. I don't think he could be president for 8 years.
Well, we don't need him for 8 years. We just need him for 4.
I understand that.
We just need him to beat Trump. That's all.
Right. But I'm looking at the whole thing, and I think for me it's important who he's going to choose as the vice president.
Well, he said he's going to choose a female. That's what he said in the last debate. That he guaranteed on the debate stage that he was going to elect a female. I just hope he doesn't elect a female that causes him to lose the election.
Right.
See, he needs to select a female, in my opinion, that white America will vote for.
Yes.
White females will vote for. Because that's how you win the election, That's how Obama won the election. With college-educated white females and of course, the minority vote. Joe's his advantage is that many people presume that he's going to pick up where Obama left off. And that's his advantage. And I hope he uses that, to the utmost. The thing that I hope Joe is able to do is to not do what Hillary did, which was allow Trump to go negative and not punch back hard.
Mm-hmm.
You need a hard. I love Michelle Obama. I love her. In a theoretical sense.
Right.
And so when she said, "When they go low, we go high," you know what? That sounds good. The rhetoric sounds good, but see, that's not how you win the fight.
Right.
You win the fight by out punching the person.
Right.
And you want to knock out. And so that's what I hope Joe does. I hope Joe goes for the jugular every time Trump says something stupid.
Now, since we're speaking on that, do you think it would be a Michelle Obama?
If he made a Michelle Obama his running mate, he would win the election
by landslide.
Landslide. Most definitely, he would win. I just think none of the females that were on that were vying for the Democratic ticket, none of them I think should be on.
I agree.
None of them should be up there with him.
I agree.
He need to go talk to Michelle and ask her get on the ticket with me. He'll win quicker with Oprah than he would with Michelle. He'll win quicker with Oprah than he would with any of the other folk that he had.
Right.
But he needs to talk to Michelle. And if he put Michelle on a ticket, it's a done deal.
Yeah, it's a wrap. I mean, it'll be the most. It probably more people voting than it was when Obama ran.
Oh yeah, because the women would they love her, so they would flock to the polls. Of course, the minorities going to flock to the polls, and and educated people flock to the polls.
Yep.
It would be a totally different a dynamic because people would be thinking to themselves as well. You're right. He's old. Okay, no problem.
Right.
If something happens to him, Michelle is the president.
Right.
And so because of her closeness with Barack and and all the I guess the knowledge that comes with her being that close to him when they were in the White House.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be a done deal.
Yeah, when you really think about it too, you haven't heard much from Barack Obama during all of this stuff going on.
Not one peep.
And that is like the game plan for when you want to be super quiet because something's coming down the pipe. You don't want no sound bites coming out of what you said, here recently.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for Michelle running as vice president and in 4 years running for president. I'm all for it.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
Yes.
If she would do that. If I were Joe, I'll say this too. Let's say Michelle said no. If Michelle said no, I would find a female Republican.
Yeah.
And make her my running mate.
What about Condoleezza Rice? Because she's been really a moderate Republican.
She has been. Condoleezza to me was too close to Bush.
Bush.
Yeah, I just there are a lot of minorities that weren't comfortable.
Yeah.
With Bush.
But I tell you what, Trump been so bad, it's making Bush look like I take Bush any day.
But me personally, see, I felt differently about Bush than most minorities. I like Bush.
Yeah.
I really like Bush number one. Okay. More than I like Reagan. Because I really didn't care for Reagan a whole lot. I was not an advocate of trickle-down economics. But I like Bush one, and I like Bush number two. Because when you think about some of his policies, and it's true how he dealt with the financial crisis was horrible. But if you think of some of his policies really were not that bad for minorities. I mean, Bush is the one that implemented No Child Left Behind.
Right.
Which was good for minorities.
Right.
Now the states, to me didn't implement it the way he really thought it would be implemented.
Exactly.
Right. But the idea was a great idea. If you think about his take on the housing market, I mean, it wasn't his fault that the housing market crashed. He relaxed things so everybody could buy a house.
Right.
He made it so anybody could buy a house. It's just that people took advantage of it.
There you go.
The loan officers took advantage of
Yep.
it, and put people in situations that they couldn't get out of.
Right.
So what he tried to do was not bad. It's just that the implementation of it by people taking advantage of what he has established, to me, caused some problems. Going to war probably wasn't a good idea. But everybody entitled to one mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't imagine being president, because a lot of the things that you try to implement, you don't really see the results of it until you either 4 or 5 years down the road, or you're already out of office.
Right.
And you basically sit back, then you got the people that come in behind you, whether or not they're trying to undo it, so you can't even really see, did it actually work?
Mm-hmm. Or they reap the benefits and say they did it.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, we're coming up here on 26 minutes, coming close to 30. So is there anything we would like to tell the audience of what to look forward to from us, and what we got planned, and because we're pretty soon we have nothing but time.
Well, it'll be an interesting dynamic as we move forward, because as you say, these are some uncertain times, so it's hard to say where we're going to go. But what I can say we can look forward to is, because of the uncertainness of the times we live in, it's an opportunity to take advantage. Sometimes people look at times like these and they see the downside. They don't stop to think about that when changes are happening, that's a time to look at the changes and take full advantage of the changes. You can benefit from them. And I think the stock market is an example of that. Is that, when you think about it's really plummeting right now.
Right.
But, individual stocks, those companies that are not going to go away.
Right.
It's time to jump on them now and take advantage of it.
Right.
Where you stretch your dollar, even further. So even though it might seem like it's bad and uncertain, you just never know what God's going to do. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how we come out. I think we can come out of this a better nation, a better people. When I was in school, one of the things one of my instructors said to me was this, and he was a man teaching organizational theory. He said, if you want people to work as a team, give them a common enemy, and they'll come together. Well, our nation has been divided for a long time.
Yes, it has.
We've been divided for 3 years and 3 months. We have a common enemy. So maybe this is a great time to come together.
Yeah, it is. It is a good time. And the real ironic thing too, with Donald Trump's last press conference, for once he sounded normal. Okay, I got to leave the bravado and all the extraness. Let me be somewhat like I'm supposed to be.
Someone that has humanity.
Right. Well, thank y'all so much for listening to us, and we will be back hopefully next week with another podcast episode. This is your host, CB Baker. Till next time.